Alright guys, welcome back. So today I wanted to show you guys another edition from the Shodog collection from Jim's arsenal of awesome RCs that he had. This was another one that I was able to obtain from his son, aside from the Blackfoot, which if you guys watched the last video, you got to learn all about. So today this is one that I wanted to cover. It's a John Boyer built chassis, which if you guys have been around for quite some time like me, you'll surely remember that John was one of the absolute most go-to guys for tube chassis fabrication work going back probably about 10 plus years ago. So he was kind of ahead of his time, in my opinion, in terms of his fabrication skills. He dabbled in monster truck chassis, scale rock roller chassis, and then he also had done these sandrail chassis. So he actually did a four-door and a, well, not four-door, but four-seater variant and a two-seater variant. I actually didn't really particularly care for the two-seater variant too much. It was kind of wonky looking, if we'll call it that. And then the chassis was actually so popular that at the time, RC4WD had gotten a hold of one, and they had actually sent it out to be replicated. And if you are thinking while looking at this that yes, that's an RC4WD, Desert Storm chassis, you are partially correct, but not 100% correct. So this is indeed one of John's, and one of the biggest ways to tell is that John's chassis were actually brazed together. They're just a little bit cleaner looking welds and joints than the RC4WD variant, which was MIG welded together. So, and John's also had some other nicer details, such as like this light bar here, things like that. So I was super pumped to add this to the collection. I had actually had one of the RC4WD ones at one point and had, regretfully sold it due to other interests in other cars and trucks and things like that at the time. And I've kind of wanted another one since, but they're actually pretty spendy these days. So I was pretty pumped to have been able to obtain this one. And of course, in typical Jim fashion, it's done very nicely. It's got a nice, flame paint job on it. It's got a simulated carbon fiber roof. Integy piggyback shocks, aluminum front arms, and if you're looking at the wheels and thinking, hey, it's got Tecnacrafts on it, you are almost correct, but these are actually Lohas wheels, which were a company that had basically somewhat replicated the Tecnacrafts many years after the Tecnacrafts were discontinued. So they're actually really, really nice, and what's kind of nice is that, since they're not OG Tecnacrafts, if you decide to, run them not as a valuable thing as, original Tecnacraft wheels, they are still now discontinued, just like original Tecnacrafts are, so there's that. But, however, they do look the part, and they add a certain, class to this here sandrail. You might also notice that it's got some pretty cool aluminum, KC lights on it. Those were done by a Tamai Club member by the name of Cultech many, many years back. He was probably one of the original guys that was making some small scale parts before scale was a thing. I actually have a couple sets of these lights myself. They're on the Kyosho Blizzard that I have across the top. So it's pretty cool to see those on there. It just kind of shows how long myself and Jim had been around for as we progressed through the hobby and the things that were made. Also, it's got, kind of makes me laugh, it's got these old school seats in it, which if you guys remember these were actually meant to be a cell phone holder. And they're like scale Recaros. And before we had the support that we have nowadays, these were something that you could pick up at like an 8 Auto Parts or Walmart or something like that, in like that auto parts section. And they were pretty much like a perfect 10th scale. They were meant to like clip to your, vent in your car to hold your cell phone. And obviously, in terms of nowadays, that wouldn't fly because the phones have gotten so much bigger and all that stuff. But they work really well for the RC builds. I still actually have a few trucks that have them in it. So pretty cool to see those again. And yeah, let me bring you guys up close at this thing, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. All right, so let's check this thing out up close. As you can see, as I was saying before, has a really, really awesome paint job that Jim did. Got sand, some like ghost flames in the black there. As you can see, the Lohas aluminum wheels are in fantastic shape, and they are very, very close to the Tecnacraft wheels that were, available long ago. You've got the, your Mohawks on the front, got some paddles on the back, and this thing is definitely ready to hit the sand then once we could get through this winter here. And we'll touch up a couple of things that it needs, and we'll definitely be out there roosting it. So you can see the old school Recaro cell phone holders, and it even has a spot for like a steering wheel. I'm going to make like a nice little dash to attach to that spot there. And then, like I said earlier, it's got the really cool Cultech aluminum off-road lights on there. Integy suspension shocks with the piggyback reservoirs fit the bill pretty well. Aluminum front control arms. And when we go out back here, I'm assuming Jim may have actually ran this thing because it has the the drive shaft yokes attached, but there are no rear drive shafts, which anyone that's owned a Stampede knows that once you put some brushless power through them, that they didn't tend to hold up. And going to a CVD would definitely be a much better option. You see here, got the simulated carbon fiber roof, and we got some good, long travel suspension. This thing's ready to hit Pismo if we were on that coast. Still got to get a steering servo and stuff for it. But overall, this thing is just really, really sweet looking. I can't wait to finish it up, get it running, and definitely hit the dunes with it. So yeah, if you guys have any questions on it, please drop it below. I always do my best to answer all the questions you guys have. If you like the video, remember to click the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I actually have another Shodog truck that came with this one, and we will be reviewing that one shortly, so stay tuned for that. But yep, this is the rail. Things sweet. Looking forward to getting it going. And yeah, catch you guys on the next one. Thanks. See ya.